Appreciate it. The family of Army Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl so frustrated that they are revealing a potential secret deal between the United States and the Taliban for a prisoner swap, exchanging their son, who's a POW in Afghanistan, for 5 prisoners who are being held in Guantanamo Bay. An administration official is telling CNN that they were trying to work out a kind of sequence, perhaps moving 2 Taliban prisoners out of Guantanamo to a third country like Qatar, and then Bergdahl would be released, and then the United States would let 3 other Taliban prisoners go. The negotiations, though, have stalled. It prompted Bergdahl's father to become so desperate that he tried to reach out to the Taliban on his own, and he told the New York Times this: the rhetoric is that we don't negotiate with terrorists, and therefore, what do? Well, you push it hard with everything you have. Bergdahl, you might remember, was captured on June 30th, 2009 in Afghanistan. In one video, he claims that he was captured after he fell behind on patrol. His message was posted by his captors online in 2009, obviously in a hostage situation. We wanted to play, though, a little clip of what he said.
Well, I'm scared. I'm scared I won't be able to go home. It is very unnerving to be a prisoner.
It's obviously a brutal experience for Bergdahl's family, and one man who might have a little insight into that experience and what they're suffering through right now is Michael Berg. His son Nicholas, you might remember, was also captured by insurgents. It happened back in 2004. Nicholas Berg ended up being beheaded. Mr. Berg, I appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you so much for being with us. You know, I know in the past, oh, looks like I've dropped there. Your shot is back. Forgive me. We had a little technical difficulty. You have advocated for prisoner exchange in the past after your son was executed, and you were blasted for that. Now we see this negotiation for a swap of prisoners out of Gitmo for Bowe Bergdahl. Do you think it's a good thing, and why do you think that would be a good thing?
Well, obviously, it's a good thing. Lives could be saved on both sides. How could anyone lose in that situation?
The argument, as I'm sure you're aware, against would be that if you, in a way, reward a kidnapper by doing a swap, it encourages more kidnappings. The argument would be that anybody who's agreed not to be an insurgent as terms of a release probably would, the minute they're released, go back to being an insurgent. Do you worry that some of these arguments, in fact, could have some truth to them?
Well, first of all, I don't think that this is a kidnapping. This is a political action. And the attitude of we don't negotiate with terrorists is what's gotten us into the terrible mess we're in Afghanistan and Iraq, because we still are in Iraq. It's the same kind of attitude that probably prompted the attacks on the Twin Towers. We don't negotiate. Well, if you don't negotiate, you don't use diplomacy, then people fall to violence. So that's to me that negotiation, diplomacy is what you should do. Negotiation, diplomacy is what you must do. And as far as these people in Guantanamo who would be released, going back to being terrorists again, none of them have been proven to be terrorists. What happened to the United States of America, where you're innocent until proven guilty? These people haven't had trials, and it doesn't look like they're going to get any kind of a fair trial. And if they did go back and they did become insurgents, they would be in the same category as Americans who wanted to right a wrong. And I think the invasion on Iraq and Afghanistan were wrong, and I don't agree with violence. I don't agree with war. But these people are not doing anything any differently than we would do.
Mr. Bergdahl has said that he's just become so frustrated with the process, these sort of secret negotiations, potentially with a swap that would involve his son, that he just started doing direct negotiations with a person he believes at least has links to the Taliban. And he's told them, stop sending videos and messages to the American people and instead try to speak directly to the president. Do you think that's good advice? Would you, if you were advising him in any way, tell him a similar thing?
Probably. I think with this president, he's fortunate in a way that he's dealing with this president and not the president that I had to deal with, whose only political statement about that kind of thing was, we don't negotiate with terrorists. From what I know, offers were made by Al-Qaeda for my son, money or prisoner exchange. I don't know what the details were, but they were rejected just on point, just because they were negotiations. So I think that dealing with the president, who seems to be a human being, who's the current president seems to be a human being, seems to be the kind of person who would react to a father's plea like that.
Mr. Bergdahl, we've seen him in videos, that he directs to his son's captors. I want to play a tiny little bit and then ask you a question on the other side, sir.
Past time for Bo and the others to come home. To the nation of Pakistan, our family would wish to convey our compassionate respect. We have watched the violence of war, earthquake, epic floods, and crop failures devastate your lives, all while our son has been in captivity.
Sir, have been in the horrible position as well as trying to figure out what is happening to your son. What kind of advice would you give Mr. Bergdahl as his family tries to navigate what has got to be an absolutely horrific experience for them? To keep on trying, to try everything that you possibly can, and especially to take advantage of a resource that he has that I did not have, and that was the attention of the media. When my son was missing, I contacted the media. I contacted every television station, every major newspaper that I could think of, and since my son's disappearance wasn't public, no one wanted to have anything to do with it. He's got that resource. If I were him, I would go to the media. I would be on the media as much as I could every day, every minute of every day, letting people in the United States know that we've got a president, we've got politicians that could bring his son home. All they have to do is say the right words and do the right thing. And we need to have that kind of pressure on our politicians, because they don't really respond to what we want generally. But I think if enough people tweeted about that, he might get some action. Michael Berg is the father of Nicholas Berg, who's killed back in 2004. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it, sir.
You're welcome.
Still ahead this morning on Starting Point, we'll tell you why Mitt Romney says he's sorry for an incident that occurred nearly 50 years